My name is Michael Anderson, and I want to share with you the story that changed my life. This story begins on a winter morning in rural Montana, where snow blankets the fields. If you have ever been to Montana in the winter, you will surely feel the numbing cold creeping through every layer of clothing and into your heart. Yet even in that seemingly harsh cold, I always found comfort and extraordinary warmth from the quiet scenery and wild beauty of heaven and earth. I was born and raised in a small town, about 40 miles from my family's current farm. When I was a child, I loved running around in the tall grasses, flying kites on sunny days, or going fishing with my friends in the small stream behind town. Growing up, I decided to stick to farming, partly because I love fresh air, cattle, and green gardens, partly because I want to continue the family business. My life before was quite simple. Most of the time, I just hang around the fields, take care of livestock, and in my free time, go to church on weekends. I always have faith in Jesus, in His protection and guidance. But perhaps even I did not foresee that belief would one day become a light illuminating a strange journey that went beyond all normal understanding. That day started like any other day. I remember very clearly it was a clear morning, but extremely cold. Snow fell all night, and when I woke up, the clear blue sky appeared as if to make up for the gloomy days that had passed. I put on a thick cotton coat, worn old but still durable boots, and then kissed my wife, Rebecca, goodbye. She is preparing breakfast in the kitchen. The smell of toast and coffee warmed the whole house, making me want to stay a little longer. But work doesn't wait, so I had to remind myself to go out to the barn. Actually, that day, I didn't have anything big to do. I was just going to check the fence in one corner of the farm, where last week's snowstorm might have knocked down or damaged it. With a fairly large farm area, I often have to check along the fence line several times a month, especially after big storms. On the way, I noticed a few cows huddled in a corner to avoid the wind. Seeing me approaching, they raised their heads, looked curiously, then slowly turned away as if saying, "There's nothing to see, my friend. I'm just staying here temporarily." The scene is both funny and warm. I didn't forget to pet a cow with a heart-shaped birthmark on its forehead. It seemed to recognize me, so it gently sniffed and was friendly. At that moment, I thought I would have a peaceful and normal day. However, as I bent down to repair the break in the fence, I felt a sharp pain in my chest. At first, I thought I probably just had a muscle strain or a sore throat due to the cold. But the pain became stronger and stronger, spreading down my left arm. Then I felt short of breath and nauseous. My heart felt like someone was strangling me. I frantically looked for a place to hold on, but there was only vast white snow around me. For a moment, I still remember opening my mouth to scream for help, but I couldn't seem to get the words out. Everything before my eyes wavered, faded, and I fell to my knees. The coldness of the snow entered my body. I felt my heart beating its last beats in my chest. Then all sound seemed to fade away. When I opened my eyes again, I suddenly realized I was standing, looking down at my own body. You can imagine a moment of utter confusion. I found myself lying in the snow, motionless, my face pale. Clothes were covered in snowflakes. The surroundings were deserted, not a single person in sight. For a moment, I was horrified, thinking, why is this happening? Am I dreaming? But right after that, I felt a strange warmth pouring in. There was no more pain, no more cold, just peace and clarity, as if I had just entered another world. Before I could understand what was happening, a gentle yellow light appeared before my eyes. That light brings a comforting, inviting feeling. It is both warm and familiar, like the fire in a fireplace in the middle of a winter night, like the embrace of a loved one. I found myself drawn towards that light, not resisting, not afraid, but filled with curiosity and trust. I just kept moving in, or perhaps drifting in would be more accurate, because it seemed like all movements had escaped the normal laws of physics. Time seems to disappear. The space around me became endless. I felt light, as if I were in a very great place. Then, from deep within the light, a shape appeared clearly. At first, I only saw a figure. Then I clearly saw the hair, eyes, and indescribable gentleness. My heart beat strongly, not because of fear, but because of joy, because of admiration. That person is Jesus. I believe so, not only because of the images in the Bible or the religious paintings I have seen, but also because of the unconditional love that radiates from him. His eyes filled me with sympathy, forgiveness, and encouragement. He called my name. Michael, you still have a lot of work to do. Hearing those words, tears welled up in my eyes. I didn't cry because I was sad, but because I felt so small in front of so much love. Jesus put his hand on my shoulder. I don't know how to properly describe that feeling. I can only say that my heart felt like it melted. All the pain and anxiety disappeared. I heard him repeat, "You can't go right now. I need you to go back, share what you will see, receive these visions, and bring hope to everyone." I could only bow my head and answer him in my heart, "Yes, I will listen." Then, as if a mist gently shifted, I saw each scene appear. They were not like fragmentary images, but clear and vivid, as if I were traveling into the future. He showed me America in 2025, a future not too far away, but containing countless changes. I witnessed images of quiet streets, people with fear and suspicion in their eyes. There are families who quarrel, distrust each other, groups of friends whose relationships break down because of disagreements. I see neighborhoods that were once bustling are now colder, not because of the weather, but because people rarely open up to each other. I thought in shock, what makes us so divided? Then Jesus showed me spots of light amidst that gloomy scene. It is a group of people who sit together to pray and share food with difficult families. These are the builders who diligently repair houses damaged by natural disasters without asking for any compensation. I heard him say, "Division only makes love fade. If they remember to keep the faith, they can still overcome every crisis." I silently realized that this message was very familiar and also very urgent. We often forget that the power of solidarity and compassion is the foundation that helps a sustainable community. The next scene changes to violent natural fluctuations. I saw storms and floods that swept away houses, forest fires spread throughout the western states, and then some places were hit by sudden earthquakes. I saw people panicking, running away, some standing and sobbing as their houses burned down. But I also saw groups of volunteers coming to the rescue, hugging each other amid the fire and smoke, encouraging each other to start again. Jesus told me, "The earth is also groaning. Take care of where you live, because it is a precious gift from heaven." I feel the pain of nature as the pain of humans. And I remember when I was a child, my grandfather often reminded me, "Every river, mountain, and piece of land is a gift. If you are grateful and protect it, it will protect you." Then the image of the economic crisis caught my eye. I saw many banks go bankrupt, many people became unemployed, and there were chaotic scenes in supermarkets as people rushed to stock up. However, from those ruins, some communities began to build models of sharing food, clothes, and money with each other. They promote fairness, kindness, and charity. They grow vegetables, raise chickens, and exchange food based on trust and neighborliness, not just on price. My worldview brightened when I saw that. I understand that when old values collapse, people learn to find sustainable solutions imbued with humanity. I nodded slightly at God's words. To build a new building, You must remove the old rubble. Lay the foundation with love, justice, and truth. Jesus also showed me the strong development of technology. Robots work in factories. Artificial intelligence is widespread. Even tiny stores have automatic payment machines. People spend more time on social networks, less face-to-face communication. I feel sad when I see a family sitting together in the living room, but everyone is engrossed in their personal devices, not saying a word to each other. I heard his voice. Technology is a tool. If you let it control you, you will lose yourself. Don't forget to use technology to serve, to help the weak, instead of chasing illusions. I remember that I myself also have a cell phone, and sometimes I get so caught up in social networks that I forget to talk to my wife. I wonder, am I forgetting the simple, precious things right next to me? But what touches me most is when I see ordinary people, not rich or famous, quietly lighting up the faith of the whole community. These are teachers who, despite their limited salaries, still spend time teaching for free to children in difficult circumstances. He is a retired doctor who opened a private clinic to treat poor people without pay. These are enthusiastic students organizing trash collection in rivers. These are farmers like me, ready to donate vegetables to people who are hungry. I see people who have experienced loss and pain but still steadfastly hold hands and remind each other to stand up. Jesus smiled. Those people are chosen, not because they are noble or outstanding, but because they know how to put their hearts in the right place. They know how to live for others, know how to give without asking. I was touched, secretly wishing that I could also become one of those good seeds. I continued to witness many people claiming to be prophets and spiritual leaders, giving speeches, confusing the crowd. They call for donations of money for vague purposes, spreading fear and false promises. I see a lot of mentally weak people being taken advantage of. Jesus said, "Remind everyone that whether a person is real or fake depends on their actions, not their words. Use your heart and observation to distinguish." I think about the small town where I live, where sometimes a few braggarts pop up, promising one thing after another. At times, I also blindly believed it, only to be disappointed. Now I realize that his teachings are the correct guideline, using love and sobriety to look at life. The next vision, I saw a community that had just experienced a flood. The village was flooded and covered in mud. But it's not a scene of chaos. It's a scene of people cleaning up together. There were young men busy shoveling mud, and there were women cooking pots of hot soup to share with those in need. I saw cars carrying supplies from a neighboring town, clearly marked "Sent to our brothers, overcome together." That scene is more beautiful than any painting I have ever seen because it shines with the human heart. Jesus softly said, "This is the power of solidarity, my child. In times of trouble, compassion is what brings us closer together than ever." I felt joy when I saw groups of people sitting around, some praying, some meditating. They turn off their phones, turn off electronic devices, clasp their hands or sit quietly, turn their minds to peace and pray for the world. I thought I could hear each gentle breath, harmonizing with the same frequency of love. I know in that moment they are connecting with God, with the good nature within each person. He told me, "If you want to eliminate fear, return to the source of love. Guide each other to spend quiet time with your soul. It doesn't need anything too complicated. Sometimes just a few minutes of prayer or deep breathing, you can reach peace." The next few frames flashed by, showing me miraculous signs. I saw feathers falling right in front of someone's door, just as they finished crying out of despair. I saw a rain shower ending with a sparkling double rainbow, causing the child's cries for fear of the storm to stop and turn into a radiant smile. I see the number 1111 repeated over and over again on license plates, on invoices, on watches, as if someone is sending a message. I'm here, don't worry. He explained, I always send messages. The question is whether you are willing to receive them or not. Open your heart, you will see the message of love everywhere. I shed tears again when I saw the scene of an old man living in torment because of past mistakes, being hugged and forgiven by a girl. The tears of father and son mixed together, seemingly washing away all resentment. I saw longtime old friends reunite after so many misunderstandings, finally sitting together, smiling through tears because they realized forgiveness had given wings to the friendship again. Jesus put his hand on my heart. When you forgive someone, you also free yourself. Forgiveness is the condition for love to flow continuously, without interruption. I suddenly thought of myself, remembered the petty quarrels with a neighbor, and was startled to realize how much time I had wasted in useless anger. In one of my last visions, I saw an image of America as a giant body covered in wounds. That body can stand up, fight, and recover, or it can fall. Each citizen is like a cell. Some are healthy, some are weak, some are indifferent, but if we all choose light, choose love instead of fear, then this body will gradually heal and move forward. I heard Jesus say, every individual has a responsibility. No one is left out of the big picture. From senior leaders to ordinary people, from experts to farmers, everyone can contribute to shaping the future. I even saw a hurricane coming. It seems to represent the ultimate challenge, beyond imagination. Huge wind columns swept away houses, electricity poles, and even cars. Some people scream and cry. Some people give up in despair. But there are people who look at each other, lean on each other, find safe shelter, and help the injured. In their eyes, there was a steadfast belief. The fierce storm passed, leaving behind a devastated scene, but golden hearts still stood there, ready to start rebuilding. Jesus smiled. The storm is not to destroy, but to strengthen faith. Tell them not to be afraid, because love and determination will help them overcome every storm. Everything gradually fades away. I saw that light enveloping me again. Before all the visions disappeared, Jesus leaned close to me and told me in a deep voice, Michael, you have seen. Now go back and spread these things. Just speak from your heart. Don't be afraid that others won't believe you. Your mission is to sow seeds of hope. I still wanted to say a few words, but his image faded, turned into a bright white light, and then turned off completely. I heard the sound of the wind whistling in my ears, then Rebecca's call, her sobbing. Michael, wake up. Can you hear me? I woke up coughing. The first feeling was cold and pain in my back because I was lying on the snow. Rebecca trembled and hugged me, tears rolling down her cheeks. Thank God you're still alive, she whispered. I raised my head and saw an ambulance coming in the distance. My neighbor, Mr. Larry, was running back in panic. I tried to smile, but my chest still hurt. I know I was just on the line between life and death, and now I'm back. Everyone quickly transferred me onto a stretcher and took me to the hospital. On the road, I only heard the echo of ambulance sirens, but in my mind, the image of Jesus was still clear. When I woke up in the hospital bed, I was still a little dizzy, but my mind was clear. Rebecca was next to me, holding my hand and not letting go. She said the doctor diagnosed me with a heart attack. Luckily, the pain didn't last too long, and I was taken away in time, so I kept my life. The doctor advised me to rest completely during the recovery period. She looked at me with worried eyes. You scared me to death. Don't work too hard anymore. We'll find a way to pay off the debt gradually. Don't try to plow like that. I know I was heartless when I pushed myself just because of economic pressure, but at that time, I also had a much bigger concern. I ask myself, will people believe what I've been through? How should I tell them so they understand? A few weeks later, when my health was better, I received an invitation to share at a small meeting in the town church. The young pastor, who had heard rumors about my near-death experience, wanted me to say a few words to encourage the community. At that moment, my heart beat fast. I have stood on the Bible pulpit as a reader of the Holy Scriptures, but I have never told my life story in front of so many people. However, I remember Jesus said, "Speak from the heart." So I agreed. That day, the church was not too crowded, only about 40 or 50 people. I recognized many familiar faces, like Mrs. Mary, the grocery store owner, Mr. Henry, who often had back pain, the old couple next door, and a few young men who often helped me when plowing the land. I took a deep breath, prayed silently, then began to tell. I told about the fateful day on the farm, about the sudden heart attack, about the feeling of being out of body, meeting the light, meeting Jesus, and future visions. I spoke slowly and sincerely, sometimes choking up as I reminisced. A few people seemed surprised, whispering to each other. Some people shed tears when I described the love and warmth that God brings. I also try to share the messages that He sent about love, faith, solidarity, the importance of forgiveness, as well as warnings about living indifferent to the environment. I ended with the message, "I don't expect everyone to believe everything I say, but I hope everyone can feel that faith, compassion, and love are real lifesavers, especially when we face difficulties." Thank you for listening. By the time I left the podium, I found the space quiet. Then a round of applause rang out. The pastor smiled and nodded. Mrs. Mary ran to hug me, sobbing, and said, "You know, my husband passed away in an accident 2 years ago. Listening to you, I feel comforted. You're right. God's love is always there, just waiting for us to open our hearts." A few other people also approached to shake hands, compliment, or thank you. I feel relieved, knowing I did the right thing, even though I don't know if they will remember tomorrow or not. But I believe that at least a few seeds of hope could have been planted today. After that day, I continued to share my story in many places, sometimes in church, sometimes at charity fundraisers, or simply when sitting and chatting with someone in despair. Every time that happens, I'm nervous, but I always feel stronger when I remember that warm light. I no longer care much about whether others believe it or not, because I learned that my job is to convey the message, and whether to accept or reject it is their choice. I have seen the power of love and faith all too clearly, and I know many people will too if they are willing to open their hearts. I have fulfilled the mission that Jesus gave me, at least the most important part, to pass on what I saw and felt. The rest depends on each person accepting it, depending on how we move forward together. I will continue this story wherever anyone wants to listen. I pray that the visions of 2025 do not confuse you, but help you understand that no matter how difficult the future may be, we still have in our hands priceless gifts: love, faith, compassion. That is the positive source of dopamine, the joyful emotion that will push us forward, helping us cross the abyss of doubt and fear.